tricky.
Oh!
Lift it right up. Put him in the net.
Barry!
Give us a bit of line.
That's Barry Saturday, bro. What are you talking about?
Okay, so we stayed at Bramwell Station, just outside of the start of the Teletrack, not to be confused with the Bramwell Roadhouse, which is the junction, and that's essentially either take the Teletrack or take the bypass, which is Bamaga Road. So we took the Teletrack. That was a big ticket item for us to check off on this trip, and we headed a few kilometres down the road, and then we were confronted with Palm Creek, first crossing. So that's just a sheer drop, clay descent into the creek. No one was taking it that morning by the looks of it after chatting to a few people, and we decided not to take it either. So we took the chicken track, which was still pretty steep, and that dropped straight into the creek, turned left and drove down about 150 metres or so, and then took the exit. And we met a couple of really nice people from Newcastle when we were doing that crossing, and we travelled with them pretty much for the rest of that day, doing the southern end of the Teletrack. They were lovely people, Josh and Meg. So Ducie Creek, I think that's how you say it, that was just a pretty moderate crossing. It wasn't very deep, but it was really nice. It was interesting crossing because you have to come in and then hook around to the right and then take the exit. Dulhunty River was a really interesting crossing. So shallow where you cross, a few potholes, so we had to watch out for those. What was cool about this crossing is you could sort of back, reverse towards the waterfall, obviously without going down it, and just pull up, and we watched the cars. Harry went for a swim, and he swam across the river a couple of times. Looks like it's also a popular place to have a camp. Okay, Bertie Creek is quite unique. It's one of those crossings where you actually have to straddle this the side of the creek before you get to somewhere where you can cross. The reason for that is there's heaps of car swallowing holes in this creek. So although it's shallow, there are some really deep potholes in there. So just use the family as markers just to sort of line out the right crossing. We helped a convoy just before we crossed. They crossed a bit further upstream. There are a lot more holes there, so we found a better place to cross. So this one was pretty easy in the end. Okay, this brings us to Gunshot Creek. So we're driving along for quite a while through a narrow sandy track, and then all of a sudden we came to the top of a hill, and we couldn't go any further because all these cars were parked actually on the road. So I thought to myself, this must be Gunshot, and it was. So we counted about 12 other cars in front of us, and we couldn't go down any further. We jumped out of the car, everyone was out of their vehicles, and we walked down and there was Gunshot Creek.
There's so many tracks here that you don't even know what the original one is. Like, this is one of them. The other one is over here.
You might fall into this one, Tommy.
I'm pretty sure this here is the original one. There's this one which is really boggy. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All of these are chicken tracks. There is no easy way to get down. Talk about gunshot.
Yeah, it's no drama. It's not you.
Help me! Help me!
Hey, it's soaking wet. Jack, that's just... Don't do that. You're like-
First spot was Fruitbat Falls. It was a pretty cool place because it was wide open and it was just the falls right there. And there was pretty much only one spot that you could jump off into the water with. But if you look closely, you can see the fish that was caught on camera when we went into the water. The second spot was Twin Falls. It was a pretty small area. It was kind of enclosed, but it was pretty cool. The third spot was Elliot Falls. You could literally just jump in. Lots of people were jumping in, and the best spot to jump in, or the most popular spot to jump in, was in the middle of the waterfall, like it going down. That was the best spot to jump in. It was a bit sketchy, but the only injury that we got was Dad grazing his head on a rock.
We headed down to Canal Creek, and it was very rocky, lots of potholes, shallow, but you just had to be really careful about your wheel placement. So pretty slow going, lots of corrugations, lots of erosion on the track. So we just took it really easy and just walked every single crossing that we came to. The next being Sam Creek. So Sam Creek, we watched a couple of people go through that already. It's got a beautiful little waterfall just next to it, and a rope swing. So we had a bit of a look there, and then really deep. And then the next one after that was Mistake Creek. So I think the mistake is if you take the right hand track going in instead of the left, you end up coming to the top of a really steep entry into that. And if you take it, I think it'd be pretty hair raising. So Jack really wanted me to go down that one. I got out, walked across the crossing and found the other entry, and then found where we'd taken the wrong turn. So then I just basically, Yui came back and went through that crossing without any dramas. My favourite crossing for the day, I reckon, was Cannibal, just because it's so unique. I've seen heaps of videos of this crossing on YouTube as we were planning this trip. So this has got the classic hairpin turn as you come into it. Had to walk it back and forth a couple of times and had a chat. Crossing is the bridge, so Cypress Creek. That log bridge, I've seen lots of videos of that as well and photos, but actually walking it, it's not flat at all. It's very sketchy. It's held together with those tie-down straps that you use for the top of your, your vehicles and trailers, and they were making funny noises when you cross it. So I've seen this one too. It's really long and it's deep. It's sandy on both sides, so the exit and entries aren't a big deal, but it is deep and long. So we walked it. It was getting up there, just sort of above waist level. So then the next crossing was the big one, Nolan's Brook. We've heard from a few people that it's already taken a few vehicles this season. I walked it. It was way, the surface, sorry, the bottom was a lot harder than the other one, and that was the one we decided to go for. I wasn't feeling overly confident just because of the depth and just hearing all the stories. So, but there's a heap of people on the other side and they were cheering us on and helping us out. So basically connected two snap straps together to another vehicle and already had it connected up, hooked up.